Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dimitri, and welcome to our latest installment of Between Two Tigas. Today we have, once again, Mr. Lord to join us. Mr. Lord, how does it feel to be between two tigers?
Always a little scary to face a tiger.
Well, it'll get over it. Well, so I got just a couple questions for you. Again, just answer them to the best of your ability, and we'll have a nice little conversation.
Okay.
So the first question is, and I want you to answer this totally honestly, but because this one runs a little bit deep. So, in your 50 years of teaching here, what has changed the most about the education or Cortland High School in general? What has changed most, do you think?
Society's expectations.
Explain that to me.
When I first started, what people cared about most was that you gave kids an opportunity to be exposed to ideas, to learn skills they needed to get through life. Now schools are supposed to be everything. They're supposed to keep kids safe, they're supposed to teach them what they need, they're supposed to give them their moral values, they're supposed to provide them access to the nurse and a doctor and sports and entertainment and everything. And the reality is you're asking an awful lot of a school. That, you know, social expectation has totally changed. And because of that, a lot of people don't feel the same way about schools anymore. They don't feel like schools are doing the job as well as they used to. But it's not the same job that they used to expect them to do.
Yeah, I think that's pretty well said. I agree with you that, you know, everything is in one place for a school, and it's not like a jail, but, you know, it's kind of like a jail.
Yeah, all purpose, one size fits all. Yeah.
All right, the next question. I've heard people say that you say that everything in history ties to money. Is that a valid quote?
Yeah, pretty valid. I mean,
can you explain that a little bit?
The major reason people tend to do things is because they benefit. It's not always money, but it's a benefit. People don't do something just because they're good people. You know, most people's motives, they do something because they get something out of it. And in modern society, that usually means money. Money is their biggest motivator. Okay. And I'm not saying that that's right or wrong, but it's the #1 reason people do things today, is to have the money to buy whatever they need to get by. So when you look at historical reasons for things, they can be hidden behind all kinds of other stuff. Oh, this is good for the society. This is...
But really it all just ties to one thing.
But a lot of times, if you really dig down, you're going to find, well, why are they really doing this? Yeah. They're getting something out of it.
Yeah, everything has a price. Everything you do has a price. So,
you're right. And it may not always be money, but there's a gain, or people aren't going to do it.
Socially or economic gain with whatever you can do. All right. That's fair. So now, kind of tying into that question, what is your favorite, or do you think the most important, most influential part of our American history, dating back as far as you can think? Most important part, you know, can be dealing with economic, social, anything that you can think.
I think probably the most important thing in American history has got to be the Civil War and the development of an industrial nation after the Civil War.
Why?
Before the Civil War, we were a division between two countries, one based on agriculture and one based on industry. And when the North wins the Civil War, it turns us into a country totally devoted to industry. and we became a nation of producers.
You don't think that's a good thing?
No, I think that's a great thing.
Yeah.
The problem is we're not a nation of producers anymore.
Why?
Look around you. You don't have factories. What does America make? We're now a service provider. If you're going to say America is manufacturing something for the world, the biggest things we're making are weapons and equipment.
But in the era of technology, what else do you think there would be to manufacture?
There's still tons of manufacturing. We source it out. China is our predominant manufacturer in the world today. Okay? And China's economy is thriving while America's is falling apart. We need to go back to actually producing something. And I'm not saying that we can go back to producing everything. I don't think that that's true. I think America may need to look at the future and where technologies are heading and invest in the future so that we are producing something again that people want.
Right.
Whether it's new sources of energy or ways to store energy like batteries, we need to look at what the world is going to want in the future.
Right.
Maybe we'll become the new producer of the best water filters in the world. Something along those lines.
So when do you think that all the manufacturing and all that came to a sort of the end that it was?
Mostly in the 70s and 80s here in this country, we started switching over. And
well, because you used to be able to can beans in a factory and make money, but now those jobs have been replaced.
Those jobs have been replaced. We have increased our standard of living so high in America that minimum wage has outsourced all those jobs. You send them to some place where you can pay somebody 47 cents an hour rather than $10 an hour. You know, and realistically, there are things that still require more education, more technology to make. We can get back into manufacturing, but we have to put the effort into creating a skilled workforce to do it. We're not going to go back into as simple as canned beans.
Right.
It's going to have to be something like a technological breakthrough where we have a technology that the world needs and we're the best at producing it. So I think that you've got to look into the future and more cutting edge stuff. You can't be focused on the past. We're not going to become the world's leader in car manufacturing anymore. We've fallen too far behind. We've got to look ahead for something new.
So we're kind of running low on time. I got one more question for you though. This one has another one that has to do with our school. So this year we have our 15 however long minutes of Tiger time. If you think next year, if they had a Mr. Lord time, how do you think that would look? How do you think Mr. Lord time would look for 15 minutes of Mr. Lord?
I'd want to focus on skills kids are going to actually use in everyday life. I think they need to practice things like how to do a job interview or how to fill out a form for your taxes or how to apply to get a job. You know, I think we need a lot more hands-on skill-based things for kids that are real world. Well, it's really nice to talk about abstracts and all the characteristics that we want people to have. People are struggling to do a lot of the basics. Looking for an apartment, a place that they can live.
You don't think most people know how to do that?
I think that they are,
or should be taught how to do that.
I think people make a lot of mistakes when they go to do those things because they really haven't been taught or planned out what they need.
Yeah. So, well, some people say that the mistakes are what makes, what helps them build their character, but you think those can be avoided totally if they just were taught the right way from the
I
start.
don't know if you can totally avoid them, but being forewarned is forearmed.
Yeah.
You'd rather go into a fight where you know what the odds are than one that you don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and it's not hard for us to teach kids how to do some basics that they're going to need to do. Everybody's going to have to apply for a car loan sometime.
Yeah.
You know, and if you know how to fill out the paperwork, it's a heck of a lot easier than if you're walking and you don't know what you're doing and they ask you for pay stubs or something that you don't have because you didn't know that you should bring them.
Right. Well, I'd say that was all pretty well said, and like we're running low on time. So once again, I appreciate the time that we could
You're
spend
very
together,
welcome.
and I look forward to maybe the next time Mr. Lord can be seen between Two Tigas. So,
All right, thank you.
kids, get out there and learn how to do your taxes. Until next time.